They said, Isiah, it looks like you have stage 4 cancer.
You were experiencing the growth, the volunteers were there, things were working good, so much so that you even had to move buildings because of the growth that you were experiencing.
Ultimately, when they saw that size, they said, Isiah, it looks like you have stage 4 cancer. For us in this difficult time, it was definitely a challenge. He didn't warn me. He invited me into a sweet fellowship with half of the vision. He didn't sell me on a lie. He wooed me in on a promise. I can't say I was ready for, but my faith didn't fail me. Things continued to transpire. It was not fair to God that I would allow my health to dictate how good he was. It would have been an indictment on his person if I would have stopped believing just because I didn't understand.
What's going on, family, and welcome back to another episode of MicToss. And the guy that I have on today is not just a testament of God's goodness, but also a testament of what planning and what excellence really looks like when it comes to building whatever the Lord has given you. And because this podcast is all about making sure that we are gleaning wisdom from those who have gone on before us, I am so excited to have this pastor, this church planter, this husband, this father on to give us some wisdom. Y'all help me welcome my guy, Pastor Isiah Williams. Pastor, how are you, man?
What's up, man? I am doing phenomenal. Thanks for having me, bro. I'm super excited to be here.
Yes, sir. Thank you just for agreeing to be on and taking some time out of your schedule. Your story and testimony, of course, you were with us, Reformation Memphis, I want to say about a month or so ago. And you were really just talking about your testimony. And while your testimony is also one that is amazing, I think what also just kind of puts the cherry on top of your testimony is the fact that in the midst of your testimony, and we're going to get into that, you're also a church planter.
Yeah.
And not only just a church planter, but a church planter of a thriving and a growing church. And I think right off the bat, I think a lot of people see the hardest parts of church planting as money and volunteers. But for you, that wasn't necessarily the case. It was during a time of church planting that you were experiencing the growth. The volunteers were there. Things were working good, so much so that you even had to move buildings because of the growth that you were experiencing, all in that a battle with cancer. And you still, by the grace of God, the grit and the determination that you had risen above all of that to continue to experience success. Pastor, why do you think some people kind of crumble under the pressure while others, like yourself, use it and actually grow in it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I'm reminded of the scripture. If a person is without vision, they cast off all restraint. Right. I think vision essentially is something that you need to hold on to when the times get uncertain. For me, I was in a space of very uncertain times. Yeah. But what the anchor was the fact that we had a vision and we knew that vision from God. We planted a church not on ambition. We planted a church not on an entrepreneur endeavor because we was trying to get rich or get this paper because, that ain't why you do it. You know what I'm saying?
Hello.
We did it because God gave us a vision. So while laying in the hospital bed, even if I did want to quit, the vision was so prominent in my heart that it wouldn't allow me to let it go. Right. Man. And because the vision was very clear, not just to me, but to our leaders in our church, it was so much so that they couldn't let it go either. They couldn't cast off restraint. They couldn't let it go because it was clear. And the mission, I say it this way, is always greater than one person. So even if I was down, the mission was so clear that the people can still run with it and make it work. And so, and it was just that season that we were in, that my wife was at the helm, even when I was down, and the church still ran with the mission. And man, it was just a blessing.
We had mentioned, and you've even touched on it, we talked about the success that you were experiencing, and then something happened that was unexpected to you because God did not tell you this part of the journey when he laid out the beautiful vision that he had for you and this amazing church that you were going to start. How did you navigate, and talk to us
Yeah.
even about the situation and the battle with cancer? How did you navigate the season where an unexpected thing came up that God did not show you while you were building?
Yeah. It was to say it was difficult. I think that would be an understatement.
Yeah.
October 27th, I went in the hospital for some stomach pains. And they were going to get ready to take out my gallbladder. And they did not take out my gallbladder. They found a 7-centimeter size mass hidden behind my colon, which caused a terrible bowel obstruction. I mean, there's so much to the story. We don't have a lot of time. Ultimately, when they saw that size, they said, Isiah, it looks like you have stage 4 cancer. Based off the size of it, it's called a terrible bowel. Caused a terrible bowel obstruction. He's like, I hadn't stopped the surgery in 45 years, so we have to take this out. They go back in, take it out. They see that it's stage 2B. With all that being said, for us in this difficult time, it was definitely a challenge. He didn't warn me. He invited me into a sweet fellowship with half of the vision. Right? He invited me into. He didn't sell me on a lie, but he wooed me in on a promise. And so, but that promise left out a few details that I can't say I was ready for, but my faith didn't fail me. And so with that being said, man, we navigated the best that we could. Yeah. This occurred 6 months into our church plan. 6 months into our church plan. Chemotherapy, hands turned black, fingernails turned black. I'm down to 230 pounds. My wife is by my side the entire time. Again, but my thoughts were clearly, if you had told me this, Lord, ahead of time, I probably would have chosen another path.
Right.
But if you ask me now, if I had to do it again, I would, because it's the outcome. The outcome was what he was trying to get me to. And so it was just the grace of God, man. I was able to come before the throne of mercy, of grace, to obtain mercy. And then he gave it to me, bro. It's like our church still thrived. It's sustained. Things continued to transpire. But it was not fair to God that I would allow my health to dictate how good he was, right? It would have been an indictment on his person if I would have stopped believing just because I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so that season brought a lot of clarity, right? It brought a lot of healing. It showed me a lot about myself. It showed me a lot of, and it showed me very clearly. And I knew this in the beginning, my wife and I, but I knew that church didn't belong to me.
Man, Pastor, you said something that was so good that I had to write it down. You said he didn't sell me on a lie. He wooed me into a promise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think
that was good, huh, Khalil? That was good. Amen. Amen.
That was real good. That was so good.
Man.
He didn't sell me on a lie.
Yeah.
He wooed me into a promise. And I think oftentimes when the Lord graces us and causes us to build something that is greater than us, it is a promise, but often inherent in the promise are things that, one, God doesn't tell us, and two, he doesn't have to tell us.
That's right.
Because to your point, if that is something that he would have told, you would have second guessed if I would have trusted him in the process. And you came before him to obtain mercy the time where what you were currently seeing did not look like the promise that he told you. My gosh. I mean, I've heard you tell this testimony multiple times, but every time I hear it, it really just awakens my faith, not only in what God can do, but how God can keep us when what we are currently in does not look like what he told us. Yeah. And Pastor, there were many months I remember There were many months where you were not able to do what you were called and built for. And for
Mm-hmm.
you, that's preaching, that's
Yep.
raising up leaders, that's training God's people. For other
Yeah.
people, it could be administration, it could be project management, it could be leading, whatever the case is. I think the overarching theme is when someone is not able to do what God has uniquely wired them to do, Pastor, what systems did you put in place that helped to sustain God's house, that helped to sustain the story when you weren't able to do what you were built to do in the way that you wanted to?
No, it's a great question, man. I think the way that my wife and I have kind of built our church is that it does not it's not personality driven. So it doesn't matter what position you put anybody in. The mission is the main idea, right? I'm a baseball player, been playing baseball for years. And the goal that I tell our church, hey guys, we just trying to get a ring. We just want to win, right? We want to get a ring.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what position you're in. All that matters is that the mission is the main priority. So we built our systems are not around a person, not around people, but just around what the mission is. So even if I'm gone, even if my wife is out, whatever the case, these things can still function, right? It's like, hey, but you don't realize if your system's working until you're no longer in the picture, right? And so we didn't realize if they were working because we were still there, or once we got removed from that thing and we still saw people getting connected, we still saw assimilation happening, we still saw that back door closing. Now again, these things weren't perfect, but we were able to find the holes in it in our absence. This is what I like to tell the leaders. You don't know how well you're doing until you're not there. You gotta not be there to know if you're doing well. Somebody said it like this: if you don't know why you're winning, you won't keep winning. And if you don't know why you're losing, you're going to keep losing.
Wow.
And so we were reminded very quickly, this is why we were winning, so we can continue winning. But we had to really figure out, it was in our absence, why we were losing. And so we were able to button up those things and continue to build systems around the mission and not personality. That's the win for Reach City. I can't say for everybody, but that is the magic to what we do and how we do what we do.
Yeah. And I think to make that also applicable to many other spheres and many other mountains of influence, Pastor, what wisdom would you give us on how to build, I'm going to say, for the adverse day, for the day that we don't see coming, for sometimes the inevitable change? How can we start today building for the possibility of what that could look like in the future?
That's good. I think ultimately any organization should always be building for the future, right? If you're doing things based on day to day, then you're just surviving. First of all, you got to get out of that surviving mentality, right? Even as a church plant for us, we're a year in now in about 5 months. And so we are now making the tweaks to get us out of survival. What do I mean by that? That means you need to start moving people around that were just there to fill in a position.
That's
you need
good.
to now put some people in that have the acumen for that space. When you first planted, it's like, hey, we just putting people where they needed to be, just because we needed to start. Now, if you're still doing that, year 2, year 4, it's like, wait a minute. This thing is not working because now you've become so people conscious that you lost the value of the mission that God gave you. And so for us, we have now earlier on say, you know what, not one person, and I say this with a pure heart, not one person is bigger than the vision God gave you. So you can't be so easily anxious or nervous to have a healthy confrontation to say, hey, I don't want to remove you. I just want to reposition you, right? So you have to begin to reposition people in your organization for the future, Because if you don't, you will always have challenges because you're just doing it based on if you like them or you don't want to hurt their feelings or
Right.
any of those things. So those are some practical things. Just be kind of reposition people according to their acumen, their skill set. Put people over areas, not because you like them, but because they have the skill set to grow those areas. There is a difference by putting somebody in a position, because you have two type of people. You have somebody that can start, then you have somebody that can grow. Right? You need to be able to understand the difference between the two, because I don't want a person that can grow something, right. to start something, because they need, most of the times, need ingredients for something that's already there to build on it. I need somebody that knows how to start, that can put some systems in place, that can do these things. Let's put them there. And once the foundation is solid, now let's put somebody that knows how to grow. So that's kind of where we're in the phases of doing, and we've probably been doing for the last few months. Hope that helps.
Yeah, no, that really does. I think the beauty in what you just said is that it is taking the tested and true principle that you have seen work in your ministry for the last year, taking that and giving it to someone who may just be starting out day one. And not only if that's just starting out day one in a ministry, but if that's starting out day one in building a creative company, if there are those that just have the skill set, get them working, get the hands moving, and then later on down the line, you can put people where they are best suited.
That's
but to the wisdom in which you had given, if you don't get the day one people working right away, you won't make it down the line.
You ain't gonna make it.
You ain't gonna make it down the line.
You won't.
And and I think that also just makes me think, in your journey of church planting and just building something, because for many of us that are watching, we may not ever plant a church, but there's always something that we are called to do and build for the kingdom. How did you determine what was, let's say, mission critical, as in what is something that has to be done now and then something that can wait later on? I think one of the reasons why many church plants and businesses fail so soon is because of comparison, and comparison makes them feel like, I got to do that today. When you don't have the people, you don't have their resources, you don't have their time, you are just starting out today. How do we determine, with just starting, what is mission critical for us to do today so that we can get to some of those better and bigger things later on?
Here's a cheat code for us. We moved by what we could afford and what we had the capacity contain. What we could afford and what we had the capacity to maintain. If we could afford it, it would suggest to me that we would do something out of our grace. Right? We didn't have the grace. Then we would start striving, right? We would start striving, trying to make something work. Then when you start to make something work, guess what? You're going into debt. You're trying to force, because now the only reason you're making, you're leaning into this, to trying to do something you can't afford, is because you've seen somebody else do something you wanted to do.
Yes, sir.
Right? So whether you're on a biblical perspective or you just on a secular level, you become lustful. Right? And lust will always call you out into a place that leaves you vulnerable and that you cannot handle. So it would invite you into this thing. Oh, let's do this. Let's get all these signs and let's get all these. Bro, we can't afford it, bro. We just started. We just started. Like we didn't come out with no ARC money. We ain't have no 60,000. Come on. We ain't have none of that.
Yes, sir.
We had to start where we were. Right. And I'm not suggesting any organization to bring their vision down to the level of their finances. No, you just steward your finances until you can get to the level that your vision is. Right. And so for us, that was being the key. And we wanted to make sure that we had the capacity to maintain whatever God put in our hands. Some people want to grow to be a 500 member church. That's great. But do you have the capacity to handle 500 people at the level you are now?
Right.
Do you?
Right.
Somebody was asking me, hey, man, where do you see? They're like, hey, can you be a church of 1,000 people right now? I said, no. No. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not I'm running my race. Like, this is a race that
Exactly.
my wife and I are running. They're like, can you take 1,000 people? Nope.
Man.
We don't have the systems for that. We don't have
Yes,
the
sir.
building for that. We don't have the people help. We don't have that. And so somebody said, well, can you handle 350? I can. I can handle 350 well right now.
Sir.
I can handle 350 well. We have the systems, we have the structure, because we've planned, right? The way that we set it up is to handle that group of people. And so that'll be my encouragement or my admonishment, man. Just go at the pace of what you can afford and what you have the ability to maintain.
Man, you just came with the bars today. You just said, if you were trying to do something that you couldn't afford, that was an indication that you were doing something that you were not graced to do. And I think if many of us, even in our personal lives, would take that concept, many of us would be better off financially. Many of us would be better off relationally.
That's right.
And I know that I cannot afford to give said person everything that they're looking for relationally, then that relationship is outside of my grace.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so good. And I would even go as far to say, it is moments like your battle with cancer that the Lord uses all of those things to determine your readiness for the 500, for the 1,000, for the 2,000, and how we handle the unfortunate, how we handle the unseen, how we handle the things that the Lord did not show us when he showed us the vision, really helps us to see how well equipped we are to maintain what the Lord gives us, and not to just maintain it in a systematic way, but also to maintain it spiritually. Do I spiritually have the capacity to lead 500 people, 1,000 people? And I think that concept applies all the way down to a manager at an Amazon job. You may be able to maintain what you do on the line, but do you have the character? Do you have the compassion? Do you have the love to maintain a managerial group of 10 or 15?
You got to know.
I think that's right. I think that's a beautiful way to see how the spiritual merges with the logical and the things that we do in our everyday life.
100%.
I think, Pastor, from just watching you in your journey and your victory, I was thinking about our episode and I said, I don't want to say battle with cancer because it is 1,000% a victory now.
Yeah, for sure.
It is 1,000% a victory now.
Yeah.
In your victory over that, one of the things that I remember as you were going through that, from the outside looking in, your faith really had never wavered. You were confident in God and the word and the reservoir that was in you that brought you through those times. Pastor, what advice would you give someone that feels like what they are battling, what they are trying to build is much larger than what they have to give? They feel like they are supposed to be doing the thing. They feel like the Lord had called them to the thing, but something has happened that is now making them feel like I cannot do this because of whatever the circumstance is. What advice would you give them?
I think it's really simple. I'm a simple guy.
Yes, sir.
And in my simplicity, if God believes it about you, then you should too. I don't want to make it go over your head. I don't want to make it so hard. But if God believes it about you, then you believe it about you.
Yes, sir.
And if he believes it about you, as the Bible says, you were called, you were elected, which suggests that he chose you already knowing what was going to happen. I just want to make it simple. When he chose you, he knew, oh, Isiah, your dad is going to be in prison for 26 years. Okay. Man. You're going to get a divorce after 17. Okay. Okay, cool. You're going to get cancer and you're going to be just playing a church and you're going to be down close to death. Okay, cool. The surgery won't go right. You're going to be in chemo. Okay, cool. I know how many hairs you have on your head now, but you are going to lose some of that hair in chemo. Right. That's okay. Cool. He was sure about choosing me. So in his being sure, that means he calculated everything that would happen. And so even though I may not be doing what I feel like I should be doing in this season,
yes, sir,
I still have to lean on that he was still sure about me. And so even in my obscurity, he knew I would be here. so my peace comes from him knowing everything about me before I even got here.
Yes, sir.
And so that suggests that he goes before me and he's with me at the same time. This is what we know. I go before you and I set a table before you in the presence of your enemies. So by the time I get to a hard place, wait, how did this table get here? Who set this table for me? Oh, man. That would suggest, wait, you've gone before me and then you still led me beside still waters?
Yeah.
So you took me beside still waters and you went before me to set a table? It's pretty simple. That means he's in your future and he's in your now. So at the end of the day, when he's sure about you, he watches over anything that he invests in. So I knew, just like you, that wherever you are, even in your obscurity, it's all calculated into the timestamp that you're going to arrive at the destination he wants you to be. You're not late. You're not going to lose time. You are right on time. So it's all good.
Man. Yeah, you play have a church today. Wow, that is so good. And I think there are many of us that are listening that are not only faced with our everyday situations, our circumstances, but there are even some of us who just see the vision, the thing that God has given us, and feel as if we don't have what it takes. We don't measure up. We're not ready for whatever that thing is. But if God believed it about me, then I should too. Man, Pastor, that this whole conversation has just been really good. And I don't know if other people can feel it, but I 100% feel the faith waking up and rising to another level to really believe that the best is going to happen in every situation.
That's right.
Believing that the God that I serve is well able. Man, Pastor, we ask every person that comes on this one question. And although you are a newer church planner, you are not new at all to ministry, Pastor. What is something that you wish someone would have told you when you were sitting in our seats and just starting out in ministry?
Again, this is very simple because that's all I know to be. I wish somebody would have told me that God is never wrong.
Lord,
he's never wrong. Because there's a lot of times when you sit in this seat, Khalil, or in any seat in ministry, or in anything you do, when things go really bad, you feel like God made a mistake. Or when things go really left, or when a church split happens, or when something, it will suggest that he didn't see it coming and he made a mistake by putting you in that position. If somebody would told me that God is never wrong, man, the peace that gives you to endure, the peace that knowing that he's never wrong gives you when you're laying up with a sickness that you didn't ask for. Knowing that God is never wrong, it gives you a peace to walk in and a grace to lean on. To know that he's never wrong. That if he is never wrong, then you're never in the wrong place. You're always in the right place. Right. And you're always in a place that would suggest that he's with you. So that would be that thing that I wish somebody say. God ain't gonna never be wrong, boy. Just be all right. You're gonna be all right.
Man, the man can't lie.
He can't lie.
Doesn't lie.
He don't lie.
That is so good, Pastor. And for everyone that just needed to hear that, let that sit in, that even when things happen that we do not expect or do
Yeah.
not know is going to happen when we first start the thing.
Yeah.
God was not wrong. And that the one thing that I'm taking away from this podcast for myself
Yeah.
is if God believed it about me, then I am going to believe it too, man.
Yeah.
Pastor, thank you so much for just taking some time to hang out and to just pour some wisdom into me and the next generation and those that are coming. You know the drill. Be sure to like, comment, and turn on that notification bell so you can stay up to date on everything that's coming right here on MicToss. We'll see you next week. Peace.